What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Black Sabbath, and we're back for the bonus tune included in this expanded folder for their 1970 self-titled album. Thank you again to Mr. Solo. And it's Wicked World. So my first thought is this an original tune or is it a cover? It's a phrase I've seen in some different places, so maybe it's a cover, but whether it's an original song or a cover, thinking about the title, A Wicked World is one characterized by strife, discord, avarice, violence, destruction, malintent, the opposite of benevolence, tranquility, morality, and peace. Now, depending on how you use some of those words, I feel like a wicked world could actually be seen as a positive, at least by those who consider a benevolent world as too sanitary or too full of conformity, and thus making it a bit messier or more wicked would actually be seen as a desirable step, though admittedly I feel like that interpretation would be less common and dependent on the ironic usage or the minority attitude toward, again, benevolence, kindness, and so on. So I do wonder what's in store. Let's give it a listen and see what I can catch. This is Black Sabbath. The tune is Wicked World, and it's a bonus track, or at least a non-album tune included in this folder for their 1970 self-titled album. Wicked indeed. I mean, I think the guitar is perhaps the standout feature of the tune, especially in the sections, or there's one section in particular where everything else seemed to empty out and it just went into this like heavy edged blues guitar solo, but even in other sections it was definitely wailing away. The bass certainly providing some good pulsing support, and obviously Ozzy on vocals, really giving his all in some moments. Again, in sort of a harder blues style, which I do very much get that sense, and indeed Solo talked about it, and I've seen a couple comments to that effect over the course of this album, that their start was as a blues rock group, but they were going heavier and harder than most blues rock, and were moving in a direction that is now regarded as one of the early examples of heavy metal. So yeah, I can hear both sides of that. I can hear this transition in practice, including specifically in a song like this. Lyrically, I didn't catch a lot of the first several lines just because I was, struck by the sonics and Ozzy's vocals themselves. In the latter half of the tune, I did hear somewhere about, wandering around the world, and was it like doing a lot of work but not getting a lot of pay, and he doesn't know who his father is, so it sounds like a world that is treating someone unfairly and is not as supportive or fair as it should be. So yes, I definitely get a sense that this is maybe a straightaway usage of the world, or of the phrase wicked world, but it is perhaps, nothing more than an accurate depiction of the way the unfeeling world and the, lack of sympathy one might experience, again, in a lot of contexts. Now, of course, some people live a more fortunate and charmed life, but I think a song like this will certainly resonate for a lot of folks who, again, work very hard but don't get paid much, or, don't have a, normal or entirely supportive family dynamic growing up, and so on. So, yeah, definitely it feels like that's the direction the title phrase is heading in. Either way, a really cool tune. I appreciated, as I said, the sense I get from this album. I forget what other albums are in the umbrella folder, but I don't think this is the only one available, so we will continue on with Black Sabbath. Thank you again, Mr. Solo. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you for the next one. Peace.